Hillary's 2008 presidential run cost her $13 million. Their two homes cost a combined $5 million, and the Clintons have given away $22 million to charity. Well, you want to bet that's the Clinton Foundation. It's a charity that received that. But all of this is according to SEC property record returns. At up $100 million, it meant $200 million. And have just $5 million left over. What happened to the other $50 million? At any rate, Joe Biden's accountant, Walter Dial, has commented on this, saying that's kind of strange. You have to report all of your assets. You have to report assets that are owned by your spouse. At any rate, that just seems not at all surprising to me. Not at all surprising. At any rate, it's about time for us to go ahead and give Ken a call. So I will be doing that here momentarily. But until I do, I'm going to take a little quick commercial break. Well, it's not a commercial, just a little quick break. Play a little bumper music, and I'll be right back. So stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you very much. And it is indeed time for us to have a conversation, as now we're tapping into the truth with Tea Party Community co-founder and lead man over at Crow's Nest Politics, Mr. Ken Crow. Thanks for being with me again today, sir.
No problem. Glad to be here, Tim.
All right. We were talking a little bit about the search for a new Speaker of the House before, and I know you've got your finger on the pulse of a lot of different communications, and you have kind of some information that a lot of the rest of us probably aren't privy to. What are your impressions so far as the way this search has went?
Well, the first impression I have, Tim, is the fact that the Tea Party is flexing its muscle. And I think they've shocked the world, because those 42 that belong to the Freedom Caucus, keep in mind the Freedom Caucus is actually the old Tea Party caucus that Michelle Bachmann from Minnesota, Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, formed back in 2010 after the big revolt in 2010 when the Republicans seized 63 seats and flipped the House from Democrat, took the gavel away from Nancy and gave it to John Boehner. Well, they formed what was called the Tea Party Caucus, and it was the group of conservatives and all these new freshman congressmen coming into Washington that the Tea Party and Sarah Palin and everybody had gotten elected, right? And because back then in 2010, Sarah endorsed 72% of her endorsements won, and many of them were underdogs. And that's why the Tea Party, that's how powerful this lady was, okay, or is. And she managed to get 72%, so it was like 56. I want to say it was 56 of 70 endorsees that she endorsed and campaigned for in 2010. So the Republicans seized power in 2010, and they've just now actually, I think, learned to flex their muscle. And there's 42 of them in this caucus that said, no, we do not want Kevin McCarthy. And the GOP can't get a GOP speaker without these 42 to go along with it, because he needs 218 votes to become speaker. And they're not there without the caucus. So the Freedom Caucus is now basically holding the House of Representatives hostage until they get who they want.
So at this point, the establishment has to find somebody far more conservative than they would really like, but at the same time, still somebody that enough establishment people can get on board. Is that part of why the rumors about Paul Ryan popped up after McCarthy kind of dropped out at the wayside, thinking that his conservative on fiscal issues would be good enough?
I think that's probably what they were trying to do, was float Paul Ryan and say, well, hey, look, he was a nominee. He's a conservative fiscal wonk. You know, he's a numbers cruncher guy. You guys ought to love him. And his campaign for speakership has ended as fast as it began. He's already done. They said, no, we don't want. So where they're at now is trying to find, you know, Trey Gowdy's been floated, but I don't think he's going to take it, because it's looking more and more like, this is another topic altogether, but if the tea leaves are correct that I'm reading and a lot of people are reading, this presidential contest is already over for the Republicans, and before the first vote's been cast, it's over with. And if all of that's correct, then Trey Gowdy's going to be your next attorney general, because Donald Trump tweeted out, here it's been, I guess, 6 weeks ago, he tweeted out that he had selected Trey Gowdy as attorney general. And he started doing that with his potential cabinet if he wins. So that leaves him out of the mix. He would rather be attorney general, I think, than speaker. Marsha Blackburn from your home state of Tennessee is one that's being is starting to garner more traction. As a matter of fact, I talked to a congressman last week about her, and he's actually willing to strongly consider her. She's actually gaining traction because she's conservative, but she's not toxic conservative. And by that I mean, if you have somebody, let's take Ted Cruz. Now, I love Ted Cruz, but Ted Cruz is what I kind of refer to as toxic, because he only appeals to the right. There's nobody in the middle or the left that's going to accept what he has to say. So across the board, he would be considered as toxic, because you cannot get the left to go along and you can't get the middle to go along. Only the right loves Ted Cruz, which I'm part of. I love Ted Cruz. But politically speaking, he wouldn't be if he were in the House. I'm just using him as an example. If he were in the House, there's no way he's going to get the Democrats or the moderates to vote for him. So he would only get 42 votes. So he's not palatable to garner the 218. And you're having a reverse situation go on. That's why McCarthy failed.
So are there any other serious candidates besides Marsha Blackburn that you think has a really good chance based on what you're hearing, or is it really kind of looking like that's direction that we're moving in?
Alexander out of Florida is one. I received an email from Steve King a couple of days ago, and he's pushing I just went blank. What's his first name? Anyway, he's a conservative congressman out of Florida named Alexander, and he's one that King is pushing for. Then there's Darrell Issa out of California. Now, Issa is one that I personally would like. He's brilliant, and he's very conservative, but he's not bang you over the head with a gavel type conservative. I think he's somebody that he's a little bit more subtle in his conservatism, and I think he's somebody that could actually carry and get 218 votes, but he's got to be nominated by one of the congressmen. And I don't know if anybody's nominating him right now or not. But they are starting to float this Alexander fellow and Marsha Blackburn. I personally am on the Marsha Blackburn wagon big time. I pushed for her last go-around, and she actually got, I think it was 17 votes or something last time. So I think she may be somebody to watch out for. Your next speaker may be one of your fellow Tennesseans there, Tim.
Well, we've certainly not had very many of them in the past. My last count, my research is correct. I think we've only had 3 from the state. There might have been a 4th I'm not thinking of, but it's about time. We could use a little common sense Tennessee voice there running the agenda.
Yeah. Well, Marsha's a good one, and I have nothing but respect for her. She's brilliant. She's popular. She's pro-life, she's Tea Party-esque in a lot of ways, but she's not banging you over the head with a skillet type. She's a little bit more subtle than that, and which is what you need, because in the end, the speaker's got to be a coalition builder. If we're not, and this is sometimes where I get a little crossways with my Tea Party brethren. They want to take control of everything, and while that's good, that's fine. You got to remember that half of America doesn't think the way we think, and they're still American citizens, and they have to be considered. And the speaker's job is to try to get bipartisan things done, and where everybody agrees, where all the people are represented, and things like that. Anyway, that's another conversation, but I think she's one that could do a really good job at that and be very effective.
Right. That might be another conversation, but I think it's still an important one to have when we're talking about filling this role, because you're absolutely right. Way too many times, especially in presidential politics in particular, we've seen a lot of this with in and around the Trump campaign in particular. We have this real bad habit, the folks of us that are on the right side of the political spectrum, of letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. And Marsha Blackburn is exactly one of those people that she has made several stands on principle, but she's also able to be a little more effective in communicating how those principles better serve everyone and not just one political faction. So I think that you hit the nail on the head that she would be a really good choice. And I do like the idea of Darrell Issa because he's the same way. He's made several tough as nail stands based on principle, but at the same time expresses why he's doing it very well. I do think that it's important to be able to do that coalition building as far as moving any project forward, because right now, anything that we would do in the House of Representatives to try and fix some of the Obama mess would require a lot of coalition building and a lot of bridge building.
Well, Boehner has said that he would stay there because this is where we're at right now. The House is frozen. It's basically frozen. And I've got a hyperactive puppy dog here. I apologize for that. The House is basically frozen. And it turns out, and I didn't know this until the other day. I cannot believe I didn't know this. It goes to show you learn something new every day of your life. And I didn't realize the House can do nothing without having a speaker appointed. I mean,